Yeah. All right. Hey everyone, it's Sam, NFT Statistics, bringing you the Proof Daily NFT Countdown live for the first time ever. Now, I'm not going to lie. Every time I do this show, I have to start over. Sometimes I have to catch my breath. Sometimes I say something that's wrong. Sometimes I have no idea what I'm talking about, but we're not going to have that luxury this time. We're just going to go through it, talk about the market. But I thought there was some really interesting stuff going on today. So I really wanted to do a show, even if we can't go through the full editing process. Let's do a quick market overview first, though. Hold on. Let's just make sure these. All right. Let's see. All right. Yeah, let's do a quick market overview first. Volumes were down again. So, we were kind of back down where we were on Sunday, which was one of the lowest volume days that we've had in a very long time. See, here's a mistake. It says ETH volumes were down or were up on the slide. It's actually they were down. They were up from yesterday, but they were low. In terms of market share, 63% market share with Blur. Now, what we've been seeing lately is that Blur market share has gone down a fair bit. Back in the day, not back in the day, but like a week ago and longer, Blur market share was consistently 70 to 80%. Now we had it at just 63%. I think you're starting to see a little bit less farming going on. So that market share is going down. Here's kind of a slide that shows that. I mean, clearly Blur still has the vast majority of the market share, but instead of being in the 70s, it's only in the 60s over the past few days. That's the 3-day average. Large cap index basically flat. We did have some strength in Doodles, up 7%. Milady down a little bit after a fair bit of strength. Going to talk a little bit more about Doodles in a second. Mid cap index was up basically 1%. That was largely because of strength in Nakamigos. Here's a bit of a bigger chart for Nakamigos. You can see price kind of going all in the right direction. So that's great to see. I'm not sure exactly what's driving it. Maybe people are getting excited. They said that the fall is coming. Something's happening in the fall. So we'll see what that looks like. But I always love to see that market like this. Anything goes up, can't complain. Here's Doodles. Obviously, on any longer timeline, it's hard to say that this chart really looks all that awesome, but still getting a little bit of a rebound over the past couple of days. And Julian, the CEO, came out and said a bunch of stuff. He said a lot of stuff's happening. There's a lot coming in August, that they put a lot of work kind of behind the scenes. And I feel like this team has been working a lot behind the scenes and we haven't known what's going on, but here they're saying a lot of it is now coming to fruition. Collaboration with Crocs, their collaboration with Camp. And they said also the first introduction of their main characters and their backstory via new content format. So awesome to see that. Like here's the image that they tweeted of them with Crocs. My kids all wear Crocs. I guess that's pretty awesome. I like Doodles. I just think it's a cool brand. Excited to see that. In terms of Mutant Apes have had a little bit of a rally, nothing too crazy. Went from about 5.6 to 5.8. K Crypto is one of the guys who follows farmers the most, and his interpretation of that rally was basically that a farmer who was long 35, didn't want to be long 35, tried to buy a lot more, get a little FOMO going in the market. So definitely not the type of rally that we get too excited about. In terms of art projects, had not a whole lot of volume here. Vera Molnar did 4 trades. Other than that, is basically 1 trade on a lot of the main collections. But let's look at a couple of the biggest trades here. This Vera Molnar one for 4.5 ETH, one of the bigger trades that she had yesterday. Also had a Chromie Squiggle, which sold for 11.5 ETH. That's the only Squiggle sale of the day. And then a couple other ones. Here's a Primera by Grant Yoon and Mitchell. That one sold for 2.4, and then a Harvest for 2.7 ETH. This Harvest was a little bit below the floor price. Second thing I want to talk about, and this is the story I really wanted to dive into. One of the real reasons I want to do the show is this Yue Minjun NFT drop. Why is this a big deal? It's because Yue Minjun is one of the biggest artists in China in the contemporary art scene, one of the absolute top 10 artists of the past few decades. Huge deal that this artist is coming to the NFT space. Did it in collaboration with Live Art. Here you can see the tweet that Live Art put out. Again, they're saying one of the top 10 contemporary Chinese artists dropping his first generative NFT. So very cool. And having lived in Hong Kong, I've seen this artist work all over the place. It's a very signature look and really interesting that it's come to the market. I have not bought one myself, but I did put a bid out on Blur. So I do have a bid out on Blur. So maybe I own one. Just want to get my full bag disclosure in. I haven't got one though, and the bid is pretty low. So we'll see what happens. In terms of why is this artist important, here's a piece called, I don't even know how to pronounce that one, but Guang Guang sold for nearly $7 million in 2008 on Christie's. This piece, Execution, sold for nearly $6 million in 2007. At the time, this was the top sale ever for a contemporary Chinese artist. Has that look and again, Chinese artist from Beijing, best known for images of himself frozen in laughter. It's a very signature look. Does sculpture, watercolor, print, and has had over $150 million of sales before. So just serious artists. And this is what the NFT is going to look like. It's kind of a generative art with his signature style in it. Right now it's unrevealed, but these are a few that I picked up. I picked those up from the South China Morning Post. It's kind of the English speaking newspaper of Hong Kong, where they had this headline: Chinese contemporary artist Minjun is dropping his first NFTs with the market crashing. Is it a joke? And his response was, premium quality NFTs are different. And an art collector agrees. Love to hear him defending our movement. We're not a joke. We're serious. Love to see that from him. A little bit more about this drop. It is, he describes it as a pure utopian world where his creativity can be boundless. It is called Kingdom of the Laughing Man. They're 999.39 ETH mint price for people who got in on the public sale. There was a private sale before then, and the current floor is 0.52. So we have seen a little bit of a rally. And here's a quote from the artist himself. There he is. He does a little video in Chinese where it's all transcribed and translated. But he says he's explored numerous media with his art over the years. This new digital frontier excites him the most, as he can bring his art to life in a way that he has not been able to do with physical media. He can relate to a new engaging experience and relationship with the next generations of art collectors, shaping the art world of the future. So very cool stuff. Just cool to see someone who's like so established kind of in Asia, in China. You never know who that buyer base could be, but there could be a big buyer base who's really kind of defending the movement and becoming a part of it. Third thing to talk about, Grails minting begins. You guys know I work at Proof, and I'm going to be in LA. I'm going tomorrow, going to be there Thursday and Friday for the reveal. Again, it's 20 pieces. You don't know who the artists are. And on Friday, we are going to be doing a reveal show where you'll find out who they are. There are a bunch of different types of work here. The first is editions. Editions, basically the artist creates a piece. There are 50 of them that can be picked, and 14 of the 20 are editions. You also have generative art where there are 150 supply. And again, that's just a generative where each one is unique. And then you have series where it's different supply per artist. And there are 3 artists that chose to do that. We've seen the trading begin. So the top sale so far was for 1.9 ETH. It's this video on the left where it's basically the word doom kind of scrolling down. So it's doom scrolling, kind of a fun play on that concept. Another one sold for 1.69 ETH, basically the seed phrase writer honor thing where he writes whole sentences about our whole thing about if you don't understand it, he's not gonna be the one to tell you. And then a photo for 1.4 ETH, and then this art piece for 1.1. So there have been a few nice sales that have happened so far. Very pumped for Thursday. I know a few of the artists are. I actually don't know who did most of these pieces, but pumped to learn more about that. Yeah, there I did a slide with the arrows. So you can see all those nice prices. And then lastly, let's talk about a few notable sales. Going to start off with a tier 4 bean from Elementals. The reason I want to talk about this is because I saw this and I'm like, Elementals have been flooded so bad. I was like, 11.5 ETH feels like a pretty strong price for something with a 0.6 ETH floor, even though you're going to get a Grail. And then I was proven wrong. If you actually look at what this flipped, it flipped one of the best of the question mark type NFTs. This is basically the Grails or the Elementals equivalent of Dingling's PFP. So even within the triple question mark type, this is probably one of the best ones you're going to see. So 11.5 flips it and immediately gets an absolute top Grail flip for him. So that's pretty awesome to see. If you look at the triple question mark types, the ones that have been sold recently, and I don't think this covers everything because I don't think OpenSea has figured out how to get blur recent sales onto their platform. But if you look at the recent ones that have happened, the triple question mark type is still selling above 20 ETH. So 11.5 to probably what's a 25 ETH sale. Congrats to the person who bought that and flipped that. Got to do things like that to keep the gamblers around. You need the inspiration to keep the gamblers around. Get those big wins so people think they can make money. Unfortunately, Nikolai, who we all know and love, Nikolai is one of the best machine learning guys in the game, says that the median reveal for a 4-star has actually been 5.6 ETH. The average has been 8.7 ETH. So the odds still are not in your favor, but keep gambling, DGens. We like that. We need that to keep happening. 2 101s to talk about. Starting off with this piece called Running From Myself by Foe, sold for 6 ETH. The buyer was ANTXX. Congratulations to everyone there. In terms of the description of this piece, Foe says, I keep chasing a dark figure. There is something calling to me, telling me I need to reach him and tell him something. He seems to get closer, then further, then closer again. When I finally catch up, I notice that figure is me. Nice description. Cool piece. And then Foe has put out obviously a ton of great pieces. This one on the right for 21.69 ETH. This one on the left sold earlier in the year to Vincent Van Gogh for 14 ETH. So one of the top artists. Nice to see a 6 ETH sale from him. And then last thing to talk about, this piece called A Bite of Watermelon by Hayden Clay. The buyer was NorCal guy. This one sold for 2 ETH. A couple interesting 2 ETH sales where I get to talk about artists I haven't talked about in the past. The description here, just made during the last days of summer. This artwork attempts to hold the fleeting moments in my grasp. And we're seeing the video, kind of similar look and feel, but gives you a little bit of motion, which is kind of fun. A little bit more about this artist. This is from his website. Kind of has a lot of really kind of magical meets reality just art on his page and really interesting stuff. His description of visual artists living in Brooklyn, focus on feel-good surrealism using 3D art to explore themes and blurring the line between dreams and reality. So that is all for me today. There's a lot more to talk about. There's a lot to talk about every day, but I felt like there was enough going on here. I want to be sure to do the show, even if we don't get the animations. Glad you stuck around. Give us a like. Tell us what you think in the comments. I'll actually stick around in the chat after this. If there are any questions, I'll answer a few questions, but we'll get this video up on YouTube. Hope this format wasn't too different from what you've seen before, and we appreciate you coming along. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.